So we've gone ahead and landed on Rocktopia today, and I thought this would be an excellent chance to hit my favorite area of trees right here. And so we can usually break a handful of tools pretty easy here. So it's always a good time to use a skill pill. And these are going to be really good skills. This tree cutting is really underrated, and not enough people do it, I feel. But it is an excellent way to build up some of your peripheral skills. Um, and what I mean by that are your skills like zoology, genetics, biology, analysis. These are all looter skills, and they go into your looter profession, which affects your overall returns. But as you can see, the trees are pretty densely packed here, and so you don't have to run very far to go um, tree to tree. To get a little bit more out of this run, you see I'm wearing mayhem armor and one of those reload caps. Here, I'll show you what that is. It is an armor right here. The Thorfold Berserker's Helm. There's three categories. This is the middle category. I didn't want to go ahead and spend the extra money for the high grade category. And there actually wasn't any small ones in the auction house when I looked. So I kind of had to go with this one, but I didn't have to. I could have sprung for the superior one. But it was significantly more expensive. And I'm not sure I would have got the same value like I am out of this one. Oh, yeah. So you can see we're getting some analysis already. Oh, on to the next tree. Oh, how'd I miss that one, huh? Got some botany, and so we'll get some skills that don't, I guess, are used in the gardening profession only, really, and animal taming. And I don't do either one of those, so they're less useful for me. But it's just an added bonus because we're also going to get some dexterity and some athletics, and obviously resource gathering because that's the primary skill involved in this. Um, there's no unlocks associated with resource gathering profession though, and so that one doesn't really do you as much good, I suppose. There's an athletics skill up, and so this will help get our evader profession up. We'll get our looter professions up, and we'll still get 90% returns or so. And so anytime I'm on Rocktopia or Tolan, I like to do this. And when I land on, oh, there's a genetics. When I land on Calypso, I like to do a little tree cutting as well if I can. If I land, just hit the auction house and pick some stuff up. Sometimes I skip that, but I try to be pretty good about that. Just because these skills are so important. Um, and not the funnest thing to do, so it's hard to do them for a very long stretch. Like, I don't think you would want to do this for 5 hours. It would start to seem more like a job than a video game at that point. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to grind something like this for me for hours on end. And so I try to do it in small little spurts where I'll do an hour once a day for a week or something. Or when I land, I'll do it and then I'll do all my codexing and hunting. And maybe I'll do it one more time before I leave. And so about once a week, once every couple of weeks, I try to get at least one tree cutting session in, just to kind of keep me well rounded on the back end of those looter skills, because you do not get those while you're um, hunting and looting. Same with the unlock at level 30. You get xenobiology as an animal looter, and you do not work that up except by scanning things. And so if you don't scan anything ever, you will never have that skill. And so I kind of feel tree cutting is kind of like that with the zoology and biology analysis. If you don't do these, how are you ever going to get these skills that go into those professions? And so that's kind of my big takeaway for the bonus to loot profession via tree cutting. You also work up your geology. You see, I have 2,800 points of geology. I am not a miner. I have done almost zero mining. I've done a little bit here and there just for fun and whatnot, but I haven't done it very often, which would be evident by my mining. It is less than 500 points, but my geology is at 2,800. And that's directly a result of tree cutting. It's the only thing I do that gives me geology skills like that. And so if you want to be a miner, it might be worth it to do some tree cutting and get your geology up at least over 1,000 points. And it would not take very much, I feel, to get that. I mean, you see, I'm at 2,800 points. I've done a lot of tree cutting though. It's not the fastest skill to work up here, but this is for sure would be the cheapest. And then there's perception, which is a epic skill. You can't have enough perception or analysis, I kind of feel. I mean, your ability to analyze and pull, it says to link two unrelated things together is your analysis skill, and your perception is really just a if you see it. And so I feel those two skills are pretty important. Perception goes into all the looting skills, and so it's obviously going to be really important. So does analysis. Analysis is actually a bigger part than perception on the looting skills. Um, and so my belief is that you can't have too much of either one of those. But as you can see, yeah, a very densely packed tree system here. Very easy to break a tool. I was trying to figure out why it stopped for a second. I mean, let's see here. We're about 8 minutes in, and what's our tool at? And we've broke over half a tool in 8 minutes. So we're not quite on pace for breaking a tool in 15 minutes, but pretty close. And so that's a pretty fast um, gain of skills, especially when you're using a skill pill like we are today. And so I always get really excited with the amount of skills I get when I'm out here doing this. Oh, and I forgot, you get some intelligence as well. Everyone likes to be a little smarter. I guess until you're so smart that everyone around you is not so smart. But luckily, we don't have to worry about that too much in a video game. And so getting more intelligence is going to affect your hit points. I think it's 80 to 1. So it's not going to boost it up by a lot because you need 80 full points to get one hit point. Um, But hit points are one of those things where it's a lot of little things that add up to give you the amount of hit points you have, since only certain skills actually add into your hit points. All the stats add in some way to your hit points at varying levels, right? So I think it was intelligence was 80 to for one hit point. One of the other ones was 40, and I don't remember which one. Strength maybe, and then all the way down to stamina is 8. 8 stamina is one hit point, which is the other reason I kind of pick stamina whenever we get a codex reward, because it's really hard to beat um, the hit point returns on that, and there's no other way to get stamina. And so that's kind of the breakdown on that a little bit. And so I feel if you're choosing anything on codex that's not stamina, um, one, why? But if you're just a crafter and you're only going to do crafting, okay, but still it's not going to hurt you to have some hit points. Because at some point you're going to have to go mine some materials for something you want to make that no one has been my experience. But maybe there's an epic miners guild out there that's like, nah, we can just get you that. I don't do enough crafting for that to be an issue yet. I like to stress the yet part because I would like to be able to make more stuff, weapons and armor and whatnot. It's just a pretty heavy investment in the beginning, and it's definitely much cheaper to just buy them. So while I'm harvesting the one tree, I try to kind of try to scan a little bit for where maybe the next one will be, which helps on our how fast it takes us to get onto the next tree, which just makes us burn through tools quicker, which is helpful because we're getting our skills faster, um, and because we're on a skill pill, so we're really getting our skills faster. 50% faster on this one, um, supposedly. I've never actually like done any math on it, on like how much skill I got, trade terminal value, and all that per time. I definitely seem to get more skills, and that was honestly good enough for me. It's because it just seemed to come in at a significantly faster rate. So I won't say for sure how fast you get them, but it does seem quicker. And so whenever I'm tree cutting, skill pill if I have it. Oh, and there's our first tool down in just just over 15 minutes. That was a nice little hit, almost 20 peck. And so you can have like little mini hits while doing this. And I typically average 90% returns pretty regularly on this. I mean, sometimes it's down to 85%, but typically not below that. And every now and again, you jump up to 100% or so, where it doesn't cost you anything to get these skills. But you can see we've already got part of a level on the gardener and the resource gatherer. Let's take a look. Yeah, 1% there. Probably nothing on the looter, I imagine. We don't have the animal looter even on the. Oh, there it is. Yeah, not even a half a percent yet. Well, I suppose I should finish wrapping up that one side over there. But there's a big grouping here, so it's kind of hard to pass that up. And so up here, we're going to start running into some vampires. They're not going to really, we're just going to start at the edge. We're going to stay away from them. They don't have a super huge aggro range, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. And they're not that hard to kill, so if we accidentally aggro one, it's not like we can't kill it. And this is what I mean by them having a pretty low aggro range. You see how close we are? Some mobs would definitely aggro well before we got this close to them. Looking at you, Aatrox. And so they have a pretty low aggro range, which allows us to hit the forest right around them. And so we're going to kind of circle around the southwest, around that big tree that's directly across from us right now. Because there's typically some trees around there, and I want to make sure I grab them. I don't think that one's going to be grabbable, though. Oh, I bet we could get this one, though. Yeah. That's a nice little hit there. Almost 10 times value. It's a little nerve-wracking when they're this close, though, and you're trying to cut the trees down, because I almost half expect them to aggro at any minute. Like that one. They tried to trick us there. As soon as I went to cut it, she started walking over. Yeah, so I guess I didn't really need to circle this way. There wasn't very many trees left. Um, Normally there's a couple more over here, and so, but there were a few that we were able to get there, and so that's a bonus. Allows us to circle around this, hit this backside, and then just kind of keep going. And so this is why this is my most favorite spot to cut trees in all of Entropia, is this spot. Just because of how densely packed it is, the mobs don't aggro really. I mean, unless you really get up on them. It's far enough away from a teleporter, any of the teleporters, that unless you're big into exploring or whatnot, you're unlikely to have found this. And you probably more likely found the small area that's going to be up in here, I think it was. Yeah. There's a small tree area. You can cut one or two tools down in about half an hour or so. This one's a little more out of the way and very much more of a epic place to cut trees. Oh, I forgot about the alertness. Another looter skill. I forgot to mention that one earlier. I kind of slipped my mind a little bit. There's some up in the corner there, but I think I want to clear this back edge first. We should be on the edge of breaking this second tool here pretty soon. I haven't seen the warning letting us know that we're into the last ped, but it could have just slipped by while I wasn't paying attention. And I've had people ask whether you can make actual ped doing this, and that I'm not sure. I know that you will outpace the cost of having to buy the ESI if you had to buy the skills. So a lot of these skills have really high markup, and part of that is the ESI is at 1,000% markup or something. And so coming out here and farming for these skills will definitely be cheaper than buying them. I'm not sure that you can turn around a profit on these. Um, I've had people say they think they can, um, and that that's what they were trying to do, but I haven't actually got back a hold of them to see how that went for them exactly. Um, I remember one guy I visited with was going to cut trees until he had enough ped to buy a healing tool, and then was going to try to get some healing jobs and whatnot. And I ran into him when I was in a really trying to push up my looter level. I was cutting trees 2 hours a day here. Um, but then I didn't actually keep up with. I didn't keep in touch, I guess, and so I'm not sure how that worked out for him. I assume that if you could just make ped doing it, you would just see a lot of people doing it, and you don't seem to. And I don't know if that's just because there's still an investment cost, where like with everything else, you have to have money to make money. Because you have to have enough to cycle, and then you have to have enough to buy the ability to chip it out, or oh, there's the warning. And so what I like to tell people actually is that you can break 3 tools here pretty easy in the hour. Um, we're going to get 3.5 tools or so, but I don't want someone to feel I misled them by telling them 4 tools. I'm always hoping that at some point they'll do something with this gardening profession. Just because I got a lot of points into a lot of the peripheral stuff because of this tree cutting. I hope that one day they do a little more with it. There's not much going on with it right now, is my understanding. Oh, and there's the second tool down in, we'll call it 32 minutes to break two tools. Are we on weight? Oh, we're not even getting all that close to being overweight yet. And I actually never thought I would see level 3 boards devalued to the point where it wasn't worth it to even cut them down with the appropriate tool. When they first came out, they were at 1,000% markup. Now they're down into like 200%, 250%. You can find them pretty regularly, it seems. So we're almost halfway through this third tool. But what I really wanted to do was just do a one random drop here for some mining stuff while we have our 50% skill pill going on. Then we're just going to switch back. Oh, well, we found something. Grunge rock. That sounds fancy. Well, this is helping our mining skill pretty substantially. This is nice. Well, that was a pretty substantial little hit there. Let's get back to tree cutting though. I don't use grunge rock for anything, so I don't know any of the blueprints it's actually utilized in. So we'll have to look that up at some point. Also, I'm kind of curious how much we got. We got almost 17 ped there. So that was a nice little hit. Well, we got a few trees to go on this tool yet. And so dropping that little mining probe is definitely going to take away on how far into the third tool we get while still using that uh, skill pill. But I still feel it was a good choice. Well, one, because it was a reasonable hit. Um, and two, because I want to get those skills up at some point too. So having them under the 50% is not going to hurt me. I imagine it's kind of expensive to be dropping enough probes to be mining for an entire hour under a skill pill, but we might be trying that at some point. Probably not here in hell. It's a taxed area, and I don't know anything about the mining of it, so this sounds like a recipe for losing a lot. But you never know. I like to randomly just do stuff, as is evidenced by that dropping the probe, right? I also think this is the only activity you can truly fail at, where you get nothing on an attempt. And I think that's a carryover from before they moved on to the new loot system. And this will be out there tool broke, probably a what 45, 50 minutes. We're almost we're at the 48-minute mark, and we broke that tool. So we got 10 minutes on this other tool, is what I'm hearing for the skill pill. But we've about cleared this section of the forest, and so we're gonna have to move anyway. Um, kind of like across the road type deal. We're about to be overweight. That's a little bit of a bummer. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to open the vehicle inventory, and then we'll just keep harvesting for a few. And so what I did right there is I put the stuff in the vehicle storage. I then spawned the vehicle and sent it to planetary storage. And so that removed 81 kilograms of weight off of me so that we can keep going and running at full speed still. It's kind of a cheap trick, but it's definitely coming in handy on more than one occasion, we'll say. Because we're trying to get the most out of this skill pill. Oh, we want that one over there first. How do we skip those two? All right, yeah, we hit the 3.5 tools mark at least. That was kind of the goal, that was to get through at least 3.5 tools on this skill pill. And even though we stopped to drop that mining probe, we're still going to hit that 3.5 tools. And it was just in this area. There's actually another tree area right up here and right down here. Yeah, let's clear out this stuff down here real fast. So our skill pill's about up, it looks like. And there's our skill pill completed. We have about a quarter of the last tool left. So I think we're going to go ahead and burn it out if there's enough trees here to do so. And then we'll go look at what the returns were, or rather how much we lost. Because this typically, like I said, around 90% returns on this is pretty typical. Um, but we got a large amount of pretty good skills that have good markup, and would be expensive to purchase if we were trying to buy them through the auction house. Let's move this over here. Are we getting close? Yeah, probably two more tools, or not tools, two more trees, three trees. A little over a quarter apiece, I think. All right, and these will be the last couple of trees to break this tool. How much we got to go there? Definitely not going to happen there. We'll need this next one. Over there. Yep. All right, this should be the final tree, I think. Oh, I was mistaken. I need one more. Is there one more? Oh, I see one more up there. So it's about 18 pack per tree is what I'm able to utilize of the tools, what it looks like on those small ones. I want to get these last 4 clicks in, and then we'll go. All right, now we're going to use the teleport feature. It should bring us back to Club Hell here, and then well, we can kind of look at the returns anyway right now. So we got 5, 10, 10.74, 10.84, 18.84 in materials out of 20 pads. So, I mean, I'm gonna use a calculator just so that I don't mess up the math. 5.34 we said. 5.4 plus the 8.1 that we threw in the slip near. Yeah, we're at 94% returns on that. And so that's right in the zone where I like to be. Makes that all those skills we got pretty cheap to get. So we have it, 96% returns and a whole bunch of valuable looter skills. And that's really why I tree cut. Um, hope everyone's having an amazing day. Hope this helps you out. Stay epic.